In a world of conflict, there are many contenders for the crown. Yet every so often, something comes along that doesn't just compete, it redefines the game.
9.58! The world record's gone!
Something that doesn't just challenge the status quo, it shatters
And
it.
we are calling it iPhone.
Something that goes beyond the ordinary, beyond expectations, and ventures into the realm of the extraordinary.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
In the realm of supercars, that something was the McLaren F1.
Is the best supercar of them all.
The early 1990s, a time when the supercar landscape was dominated by titans, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Porsche, names that had become synonymous with all things speed, performance, and luxury. These were the gods of the automotive world, and for good reason. Ferrari, the most successful Formula One team in the world, with vast experience making some of the fastest production cars on the planet, they had one goal: to generate a car worthy of their 40th anniversary. Off the back of the mighty Ferrari 288 GTO, the F40 was a worthy successor. Produced from 1987 to 1992, the F40 was the final Ferrari designed and manufactured under Enzo's strict supervision before he ultimately passed away, and it shows. The car had no radio, carpet, or inner door panels, and had a windshield made of plastic. But for all the things it didn't have, it sure had one thing going for it, with a roaring twin-turbo V8, producing a mind-shattering 471 horsepower. It was the fastest car on its release, with a top speed of 201 miles per hour. The sleek aerodynamic design complemented the beautiful engine to create a top-speed monster that would be a mainstay of teenagers' poster walls for years to come. But Ferrari didn't have a monopoly on speed and performance during this time. Enter Porsche. The German car manufacturer that specializes in high-performance sports cars. Known widely for their beautiful 911 models, they pride themselves on perfect engineering and unique designs, and they didn't come to the party empty-handed. Smashing the F40's claimed top speed record was the Porsche 959. The Porsche 959 was a technological marvel with a 2.85-litre twin-turbocharged flat-six engine that produced 450 horsepower and had a top speed of 317 kilometers an hour, or 197 miles per hour. It was one of the first sports cars to feature an all-wheel drive system that could vary the torque distribution between the front and rear axles, as well as an adjustable ride height that could adapt to different road conditions. But the 959 was also designed with aerodynamics in mind, achieving a low drag coefficient of 0.31 and eliminating lift at high speeds. The 959 was not only fast, but also sophisticated and refined, offering a comfortable interior with leather seats, air conditioning, and high-fidelity sound system. But Porsche was not alone in its quest for supercar supremacy. Across the border in Italy, another legendary manufacturer was ready to challenge that status quo: Lamborghini, the maker of some of the most outrageous and flamboyant cars ever seen, had a new weapon in its arsenal: the Diablo. The Diablo was Lamborghini's successor to the iconic Countach, and it aims to surpass it in every single way. With a 5.7-litre V12 engine that delivered 492 horsepower and a top speed of 325 kilometers an hour, or 202 miles per hour, the Diablo was the fastest production car in the world when it debuted in 1990. The Diablo was also a stunning piece of design, with sharp angles, scissor doors, and a wide stance that made it look like a fighter jet on wheels. The Diablo was a car that demanded attention and respect, and it embodied Lamborghini's philosophy of creating extreme machines that pushed the boundaries of performance and style. With these three giants dominating the supercar scene in the early 1990s, it seemed like there was no room for anyone else to enter the fray. But there was one company that had a different vision, a vision that would change the game forever. That company was McLaren. McLaren was not a newcomer to the world of racing, having won multiple Formula One championships and Le Mans titles, but it had never made a road car before, and it wanted to create something that would be the ultimate expression of its engineering expertise and passion for speed, something that would be faster, lighter, more agile, and more advanced than anything else on the road. That something would be the McLaren F1. The McLaren F1 was the brainchild of Ron Dennis, the team principal of McLaren, who had a vision of creating the ultimate road car that would showcase the team's racing heritage and engineering prowess. He assembled a team of talented and passionate people who shared his vision and were willing to challenge the conventional wisdom of supercar design. Among them were Peter Stevens, the designer who gave the F1 its distinctive shape and style; Gordon Murray, the technical director, who oversaw the engineering and development of the car; Paul Roche, a BMW engineer who engineered and supplied the powerful engine; and many others who all contributed to the various aspects of the project. But designing the F1 was hard. The McLaren team had to work with a shoestring budget and a short time frame, as well as comply with various regulations and safety standards that are very different from that of Formula 1. They also had to overcome technical challenges, such as finding the right materials, optimizing the aerodynamics, cooling the engine, and integrating the electronics, all into a road-legal car. This meant they had to make compromises and trade-offs, but they never lost sight of their goal, to create a car that would be faster, lighter, and more agile, more advanced than anything else on the road. One of the most iconic design choices they made was to place the driver in the central position of the cockpit, flanked by 2 passenger seats on either side. They gave the driver a better view of the road, a more balanced weight distribution, and a more immersive driving experience. It allowed for a narrower body shape, which reduced drag and improved the overall handling. Another innovative design choice they had was to use cutting-edge and lightweight materials, such as carbon fiber, aluminium, magnesium, titanium, and gold throughout the car. This reduced the weight of the car to just 1,138 kilograms, or 2,509 pounds, making it one of the lightest supercars ever made at the time. My favourite choice, however, was the team used a naturally aspirated BMW engine, instead of using a turbocharged or a supercharged one. This gave the car a smoother and more responsive power delivery, as well as a distinctive sound. The engine was a monster 6.1 litre V12 that produced 618 horsepower and 650 Nm of torque, making it one of the most powerful engines ever fitted to a road car at this time. But again, the McLaren F1's creation journey was not a smooth one. Although my favourite design choice is the naturally aspirated BMW engine, it was not their first choice. McLaren initially wanted to use a Honda engine, which made sense, as it had a successful partnership with the Japanese manufacturer in Formula 1. However, Honda declined to supply an engine for the F1, as it was focusing on its own NSX project. McLaren then approached several other automakers, before finally finding a willing partner in BMW, who agreed to design and build a bespoke engine for the F1 under the guidance of Paul Roche. But the F1 was a monster. It needed a unique transmission to get the power to the ground. The McLaren team wanted to use a 6-speed manual transmission for the F1, as they felt it would offer the best driving experience and performance. However, no existing transmission could handle the power and the torque of the BMW engine, or fit into the narrow space between the driver and the passenger seats. McLaren therefore had to design and develop its own transmission from scratch, with the help of the British company Wiseman. And again, McLaren is known for making race cars. They've been successful in Formula 1 with Ayrton Senna, smashing the competition and becoming one of the most iconic race car teams in the world. However, as good as they were with keeping their current cars within the F1 regulations, the F1 had to meet the various safety and homologation standards around the world, which meant that the car had to undergo rigorous testing and modifications. For example, the McLaren had to add airbags, catalytic converters, side-by impacts, and rear fog lights to meet the European regulations. It also had to make different versions of the F1 for different markets, such as the US, Japan, and Australia, all due to their different standards and safety requirements. And building a car just isn't easy. McLaren encountered many technical glitches and delays during the development and production of the F1. For instance, they had to redesign the front suspension after discovering that it was too weak for the weight of the car. It also had to fix a problem with the fuel tank that caused fuel starvation at high speeds. All of these in addition to the normal issues faced when building a production car, coping with supplier issues, quality control issues, logistical issues, and everything that affected the build of the McLaren F1. Despite these challenges and struggles, McLaren never gave up on their vision and its mission. It overcame them with hard work, creativity, and collaboration. They also learned from their mistakes and improved its processes and methods. Overall, McLaren managed to produce 106 units of the F1 between 1992 and 1998, each one a masterpiece of engineering and design that reflected the team's dedication and passion. Some of the most famous people in the world own McLaren F1s, such as Mr. Bean, the Sultan of Brunei, and many others. And all this passion put together culminated in a record-breaking high-speed run. It's 1998, and the McLaren F1 was about to make history. It attempted to break the world record for the fastest production car. The stage was set at Volkswagen's Erlassen track in Germany, where a 9-kilometre 5.6 mile straight awaited the ultimate speed machine. The driver was Andy Wallace, a British racing legend who had won the Le Mans 24 Hours and the Daytona 24 Hours. And the car was the prototype XP5, the last of the 5 F1s to be built for development and testing. It had no speed limiter and special high-speed Michelin tyres. The record run was captured on video, as cameras inside the cockpit recorded every single moment of the thrilling feat. Wallace had to push the F1 to its limits, while keeping an eye on the vital signs of the car, the engine temperature, the RPM, and most importantly, the speed. And boy oh boy was there a lot to look at. He took the F1 to a speed that no other production car had ever reached before. He clocked 391 km an hour on the speedometer and set a combined record speed of 386.47 km an hour or 240.14 miles per hour, setting a new world record that would stand unchallenged until another icon arrived in 2005 with the Bugatti Veyron. And its top speed wasn't the only amazing feat. The McLaren F1 could accelerate from 0 to 100 in 3.2 seconds, and 0 to 200 in 9.4 seconds, and from 0 to 300 in just 22 seconds. It could also handle corners with ease, thanks to the advanced suspension system and aerodynamics. The McLaren F1 was not just a supercar, it was a masterpiece of engineering design. It set new standards for performance and excellence within the automotive scene. It was a car that fulfilled Ron Dennis's vision and surpassed everyone's expectations. It was a car that would go down as one of the greatest cars ever made.